What is up? Welcome to WireTapped, Club Fantasy's weekly waiver wire show. Week 2 ended late last night. Why in the world we have 10 o'clock games? I know you West Coasters love it. Us East Coasters do not. But week 2 ended late last night. It is time to move on to week 3, and that starts with waivers. Lots of injuries to talk about, lots of duds to talk about. It's time to fix your roster. Let's get into it. What is up? Welcome to week 3 of WireTapped, Club Fantasy's weekly waiver wire show. I am your host, Ryan Weiss. With me, as always, Josh Hudson. Josh, how you feeling this morning?
Some teams are feeling great. Other teams, not so much. And I'm kind of in the middle of all that. So, gotta love fantasy football.
Yeah. I kind of envy the people who are in small amounts of leagues, because I had a friend post this morning, I'm 5-1 in fantasy this week. And I'm like, I have 20 leagues. I don't have time to be paying attention.
I was like, pick 6 of my leagues. I might be able to get that record too.
I think I'm 6-0 if I pick the right 6 of my leagues. This feels like a good show to update Club Fantasy Listener League. 0-2 because I suck in listener leagues. I am the worst host. I am the best host for the listeners, the worst host to represent Club Fantasy. Onwards and upwards, folks. Remember, this show goes live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. We are here to help you with your waiver wire picks. If you like what you're hearing, hit that like button. If you want to hear it again next week, hit that subscribe button. If you happen to be listening on Spotify or Apple, hit that follow button. Do all the things you can do to help support us so we can keep giving you this great content. The show does get a little busy. We do have Super Chat. If you are watching on YouTube right now, you want to jump to the front of the line, or you just love seeing our faces on Tuesday, throw us a little bit of money. We'll move your question to the front of the line. Josh, as we move on, let these folks know about our great partnership with Trophy Smack.
Absolutely. The fantasy football season is here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all of those rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. But don't forget to show some love to your commissioner for the thankless jobs that they have. So hit the link in the description of this podcast and check out some of the swag that you can get for yourself, as well as your commish, and let them know who the second most important person in the league is behind you. All available at trophysmack.com/Club Fantasy.
See everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys. I first misread Joe's comment. He says he went to the wrong show. He accidentally went to tonight's WAF show. Check that one out. But I thought he meant this was the wrong show, not that he was sitting in the wrong room for a second. Broly looks like a new name. Welcome, Broly. If you have waiver wire questions, get them in. We do have a show sheet, but we make sure we fit you guys in on every segment in between that show sheet. So every question will be answered on today's show, even if it's about woodchucks. I will remind you guys, if you want to talk fantasy football after the show ends, we do have a free Discord. You'll find the link in the description of this video. Josh, let's kick this thing off with NFL news and notes. You made the comment in text message about 5 minutes after our show ended yesterday that all these quarterback injuries are coming out after our show ends. Jaden Daniels, broken by Millie Mills on the show yesterday, diagnosed with a knee sprain, uncertain for Sunday's game against the Raiders. Marcus Mariota would be your starter there. JJ McCarthy has a high ankle sprain. He is going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Carson Wentz, yes, that Carson Wentz, in line to start against Cincinnati. Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning, the one everybody had circled this week. Josh, you had a fun fact. I'll let you go ahead and read this.
Yeah, I found this on Twitter. So if Wentz does, in fact, get to start this week, he will be the first quarterback in NFL history to start at least one game for 6 straight seasons for 6 different teams.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought that was a fun fact.
For Carson Wentz, of all people, what an interesting career that guy has had. Liam Cohen came out and said that Brian Thomas Jr. is dealing with a wrist injury. We all kind of thought something was wrong there, and it was affecting him all throughout that game against Cincinnati. He only had 4 catches of his 12 targets, and Josh pointed out on yesterday's show, an 18 passer rating when targeted. Not great. And while it doesn't directly affect fantasy, it does indirectly affect fantasy. O-line injuries. The Cowboys have lost their starting center, Cooper Beebe, for 6 to 8 weeks, and Carolina lost 2 starting offensive linemen, Robert Hunt with torn biceps his season's over. And center Austin Corbett, who had a hell of a camp, torn MCL. He's on IR with possible return. He ain't coming back. He's already an old man to begin with. So it just ain't happening. Josh, we got a couple of questions to get the show started. A lot of new names over on Twitch. We appreciate you guys on Twitch. Make sure you hit follow over there. If you want to hop over to YouTube, give us an extra follow. We'd appreciate that as well. But Marcus Manny, drop. I'm guessing this is Devonta Smith. What a season it's been. Drop Devonta Smith or Diggs for Trey Benson, Tuten, Stevenson. He already has Harvey and Bill on his bench. Josh, I want Tuten and Stevenson. I'm not willing to drop Smith. I'm going to drop Diggs for Tuten or Stevenson to get them on my bench.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm at. Yeah, man, dropping those wide receivers is tough. For me, it really kind of depends on league size. Like, if we're talking like an 8-team league, look, if you need to drop Smith because you need depth or you need a starter, like, all right, cool, whatever, because Smith is probably going to be could very well be your wide receiver 4, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Diggs has definitely started slow, but I mean, look, there's some optimism there with the Patriots, seeing as how they just put up 33 points overall. So at least we know that offense is starting to get its legs a little bit. You and I are big on having that running back depth. I think Tuten and Stevenson are definitely 2 guys to have. Harvey is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we need to hold Harvey, especially if it's a smaller league.
I think that these rookies and again, we talk about this, like, Genty was safe because there's no veteran threat behind him.
Josh, I'm going to throw this up real quick because it's Marcus again. He does have at wide receiver JSN, Jordan Love, Jacoby Myers, Tet McMillan.
Oh, you can drop Smith. Honestly, you can drop both those wide receivers. I'm 100% fine with that. This clearly is a pretty shallow league. Like, get those running backs, get some depth there. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Tuten and Stevenson, I think, are
because really those guys don't have trade value at this point. So you're not going to be able to move them for other running backs. Like, if that's what you need to do, you need to drop them, then so be it.
Yeah. And then Broly wants to know if he should start Travis Etienne or Javonte Williams in his flex spot for week 3. Benching Hampton, a mistake. Right now, I don't think benching any rookie running back who isn't Bhayshul Tuten is a mistake, and you can certainly bench Bhayshul Tuten as well. But I think benching rookie running backs while you wait and see might be the move. So if that allows you to start both of these guys, Josh, I have both of these guys in my top 20. I would go Etienne. He looks very right this year.
Yeah, Etienne looks fine. I mean, look.
Not that Javonte Williams doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. No, and Javonte Williams is right now the RB3 in fantasy football through 2 weeks. So I don't think honestly, I'd be trying to start both of these guys. So,
and I have them both ahead of Hampton. So
yeah, right. Like, I'm fine keeping Hampton on the bench until he pops. I literally talked about this all off season. It is going to be tough sledding for Hampton. His draft price, you were drafting him at his ceiling. Everybody was hyped for the rookies, and this is exactly what happens. You have those veterans in front of them or behind them, however it is, they're going to get pulled. Hampton fumbles with like 3:15 left on the clock, did not see another snap the rest of the game because the team needed to trust the veteran when these rookies have short leashes, plain and simple. So yeah, fire up Etienne and Williams if you can get both of them in your lineup.
I'm going to throw our old firecracker friend Trey Daubert up on the screen real quick. He said he's typing away. He's working hard, but he stopped in to see if we saw Beanie Wells stinking up last night. We had Trey on the show. Trey was not a big fan of one Ashton Genty. We got some shit in the chat for that video, Josh, but right now, Trey looks very right. Ashton Genty looks very average.
It's early.
Yep. It's early in the show. Let's get one more question up here before we move on. Kyron Williams and Cook, Etienne and Javonte. He has to start 3 of those guys. To me, Josh, it's Etienne. It sounds like you might be leaning Javonte Williams.
In terms of sit?
Yeah. No. I'm starting Etienne. I think you're starting Javonte Williams. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, if you're talking this week, I might be sitting Kyron Williams against the Eagles.
Ooh, Josh, I'm not willing to go that far on Kyron Williams yet, but I see the point there. And I brought this up on yesterday's show. All of a sudden, the Rams don't want to run the ball inside the 5-yard line, whatever the fuck that was about. That's where Kyron Williams makes his money.
Yep.
I need that. Literally had money on this happening. Did not play out very well. So
yeah, look, Broly, we do a start sit show every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to get a lot of new information throughout the week. Take that for what you will, but definitely tune back in on Saturday morning when we answer more start sit questions.
And I misquoted Dauber. I knew he did not love Ashton Genty as well, but it was actually Hampton. He comped to Beanie Wells. Sorry about that. But yeah, definitely not looking great for rookie running backs, as someone pointed out earlier in the chat. Josh, let's move on. Every single week, I give you my top 5 waiver ads. This is your basic 10 to 12 team league. My guideline here is they have to be available in at least 50% of ESPN leagues. I give you a top 5 every week. That article is live on the website, clubfantasyffl.com. Last week, I told you to go pick up Quentin Johnston and Bhayshul Tuten. Tuten's back on the list this week. We're going to talk about that. But Quentin Johnston, another touchdown last night, looking really good. My top 5 for this week, number 1 is Bhayshul Tuten. We don't leave running backs on waivers. Josh, I found this extremely interesting. Actually, I'll bring this up when we talk about Tuten. Let me give the rest of my top 5. Bhayshul Tuten at 1. My guy, Wan'Dale Robinson, needs to be added. He's out there for my number 2. I moved Cedric Tillman up to 3. Daniel Jones is my 4, and Romeo Doubs is my 5. And I'm going to take a little onus here about a guy we're going to talk about later. Romeo Doubs should not have been my 5. It should have been someone else that I'm going to let Josh talk about in a future segment of the show. I still like Romeo Doubs, but there's a better wide receiver out there. But Josh, what really threw me off this week, I wanted to put Wan'Dale Robinson at 1, but I don't put wide receivers ahead of running backs. Bhayshul Tuten. I liked him last week. Tank Bigsby gets traded. I've never seen this before in the longest time in my article, Josh. Bhayshul Tuten moves up on the depth chart, had a pretty decent week 1, and his ownership percentage, rostership percentage went down 2% on ESPN. It went up on Sleeper like it's supposed to, but ESPN managers said, oh, they traded Tank Bigsby, better drop Bhayshul Tuten, which makes 0 sense to me.
I mean, unless they were instantly running to grab LaQuint Allen because he was on the field for a lot of passing downs, that literally makes no sense.
Yeah, he was 58% available last week. He is 60% available this week.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, Bhayshul Tuten's that dude, man. I mean, we were talking about it all off season. Like, this was the guy that Liam Cohen drafted. This was the guy that Liam Cohen wanted. That's why a lot of people were hesitant on Travis Etienne this year. They were kind of hesitant on Tank Bigsby simply because, hey, you got a new piece, new head coach. This is his guy, right? And then it just became, is this guy going to do something? Tuten ran the fastest 40 time amongst running backs at the combine.
Yep.
Extremely talented player. He can run between the tackles. He can catch passes. Both Etienne and Tuten had receiving touchdowns this week. They're using Tuten and Etienne the exact same way that Liam Cohen used Bucky Irving and Rachaad White last year. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
So we should not be surprised one bit that Tuten came out firing the moment that they traded Tank Bigsby. I think that you're going to have a situation where Etienne and Tuten can start independent of each other, that it's very much a 1A, 1B type situation. Etienne came out of the gates firing in week 1, but I think you're going to see more of like a 50-50 kind of split here. And then they'll sprinkle in some LaQuint Allen on, some passing downs, and kind of similar to the way the Bucs sprinkle in Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
Again, literally what I talked about during this offseason. This was the goal of this offense. So Tuten being a running back, you want to get running backs that produce. And when they're on waivers, you pick them up. And that's what you should be doing here with Tuten, which you should have done last week when we talked about him.
Matty Randoms did do it last week, and he says he's going to start Tuten over Zach Sharps this week. I think it's a great call. I do have him about 5 spots ahead in my rankings right now, Josh. 74 yards and a touchdown. The main thing I emphasized in last week's article, and I re-emphasized it in this week's article, Bhayshul Tuten is a score from anywhere on the field type player. Shifty little move in the passing game off that little, I won't necessarily call it a screen, but it was basically a screen. Shifty little move to get past the linebacker. Took it in the end zone. That's what you want out of these guys. He's still a flex player right now, but Josh, I bitch about this every year in this article. There are certain players where their rostership percentage should almost match the rostership percentage of the guy ahead of them. Every ETN manager should have Bhayshul Tuten. That should be your last roster spot. If he goes down, he being ETN, Bhayshul Tuten to the moon, and you want that step up. Don't leave this guy on waivers, folks. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing like, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, right? Like,
exactly.
We literally saw it. Like, the moment that Walker struggles, Charbonnet takes the job, right? This past week it flipped. That honestly, it's kind of what makes those two a little bit more difficult to predict who's going to go off. And that's why I like this Jacksonville situation a little bit better. I think they can work independent of each other.
There you go. If you guys want some more analysis on the other 4 guys, check out the article live now on clubfantasyffl.com. I have the article up. I realized I forgot to change the YouTube link. Sorry about that. So don't go watch last week's show. I'll have this week's show in there when this show ends, and I have a little bit of time to do that. Josh, we did get a little bit from the audience, really just one thing from the audience. Is Ollie Gordon a drop? I'll be honest, Josh, I don't think he made my list because I don't think he's even rostered in 50% of leagues right now. I think he's probably a drop. There's no really need to hold on to ancillary pieces of that Miami offense.
I said after week 1, the only piece of that Dolphins offense that I truly feel any level of confidence in is Devon Achane. And he's being utilized right now the same way Christian McCaffrey is. Like, he's getting all the damn touches. He's getting all the production. I don't really see a point in holding on to Gordon, truthfully. Like, I will do it simply because he's a running back, but I have zero issue. Yeah, if I need somebody, like if my wide receivers are dropping like flies and I need a wide receiver pickup, I'll drop Gordon. He's not a starter, so I don't mind dropping him.
I have 2 deep leagues where I have Achane in both of those leagues. Gordon is my last roster spot in both of those leagues, Josh. I don't want to move off of him just because when I go look at waivers, Quentin Johnston's not out there. Bhayshul Tuten's not out there. There's no guy. Wan'Dale Robinson's not out there. There's nobody worth me cutting. I'll hold my cuff until somebody else becomes available, but I am ready to move on if there's a good player out there.
Yep, 100%.
Well, that was easy. Let's move on to the kiddie pool. We call it wading in the kiddie pool. We discovered this past season that there are a lot more of our listeners playing in smaller leagues, 8-team leagues, than what we expected before. Josh created an 8-team Club Fantasy Writers League simply to research this for you guys. Josh, take over.
Best part of that, 2-0, most points scored. So thank you for having me answer every single 8-team question that came in on those videos, everybody.
Yeah.
So last week I gave you 6 players. 3 of them actually were startable last week because that's kind of how I'm approaching this is, I want the players that are going to help me in a given week because with the shallow leagues, they are one hits, right? Like,
yep.
You can stream them basically. So I gave you Dak, I gave you Javonte Williams, I gave you Keenan Allen. All 3 of those guys hit this past week. Again, Javonte Williams currently right now the RB3 amongst running backs.
Yeah.
So figured I'd give you guys another 6 this week. Going back to the Dak pool at Chicago, you can play against Chicago. Like this defense just is not it. They don't have much of a pass rush.
Yeah,
I will be very interested. What's up?
I think Jared Goff proved that.
Yeah, right. Which I'll get to Goff here in a second. But no, it's going to be really interesting to see with Dak how this offense looks without their starting center. But they're slinging it. They're going to throw it. Jalen Johnson is out indefinitely now. They're the Chicago starting corner. So only going to make throwing on them so much easier. And this is a team that's going to rely on the pass. So
yeah.
I think Dak Prescott is kind of entering that must-start territory, even in 18 leagues. We'll talk about Jared Goff here too. Look, he's outside this week at Baltimore.
He's trash.
He could very well go from 5 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions this week. Jair Alexander probably not playing, but you can throw on Baltimore. I'm just saying. Josh Allen threw on Baltimore. Joe Flacco threw 45 times on Baltimore. Like, they're going to throw the football. So I would not be surprised if Jared Goff ends up with 40 some odd pass attempts that can get him in, 10 fantasy points just off that without looking at touchdowns. So there's some level of streaming upside there. At wide receiver position, you already talked about Wan'Dale Robinson. They're getting so much volume there in between Neighbors and Robinson. They're going against Kansas City. Eagles notwithstanding, you can throw on Kansas City. Yep. But the guy I want to talk about is Juwan Jennings. Yes. He popped this week. It's been a little bit of a slow start, at least for me, getting on board with that train, given the injuries and the contract holdout that he was dealing with in the preseason. But, they're looking Ricky Pearsall's way. And the problem with Ricky Pearsall is simply that he's not a true number one. He is an ancillary piece. So he's not somebody that can truly draw coverage, that can dominate. Christian McCaffrey is going to see the bulk of the attention from that San Francisco or from any defense that plays against the San Francisco offense, Jennings finds ways to capitalize. And I think that truly is the biggest difference between Jennings and Pearsall. So while Pearsall is more of a complementary piece, Jennings, I think, can actually put up some points. Arizona's defense is kind of meh. Their pass rush really hasn't been there. And truly what bailed them out against Carolina was the fluke touchdown on that first drive.
Well, and I was just going to say, yeah, if Bryce Young can garbage time throw against these guys, San Francisco should be just fine.
And Mac Jones has looked pretty solid this past week. And again, it's against the Saints. So, take that for what you will. But yeah. And then looking at tight ends here, most of all of your running backs on even in 8-team leagues, they're all taken, by the way. Yeah. Juwan Johnson, excuse me, and Jake Ferguson are two tight ends that I would look to be able to stream this week. Johnson gets Seattle, and then Jake Ferguson at Chicago.
Yeah. I think that's great, guys. Those are I love what Josh has done with this segment. These are players that you can essentially stream at every position in an 8-team because you have to look at every player is good in an 8-team. It is about playing the matchups. And so that is what Josh is giving you there. Again, we are here for every league type. We're about to jump into 10 and 12 team leagues in just a moment. If you like the content you're getting, hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow on, I don't know why I keep wanting to say Google, on Spotify. I'm an idiot. On Spotify and on Apple. If you need the super chat, use that. Josh, one more time, tell them about Trophy Smack.
Yes, fantasy football season's here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. And don't forget to show some love to your commissioner for the thankless jobs that they have. You can get anything and everything at Trophy Smack, all the different types of swag, all of it's available, trophysmack.com/club fantasy.
Josh, the chat decided to pop off on your 8-team segment. So let's run through some of this chat. Broly, is it safe to drop Pacheco and add Egbuka as quickly as you possibly can?
I would do that in a 14-team league at this point. Yep. But I know Egbuka is not available in a 14-team. But yeah, you can drop Pacheco and 1,000% go pick up Egbuka.
Whoever you need to drop to get Emeka Egbuka, get Emeka Egbuka. Maddie says he needs a quarterback with Jaden Daniels. Josh gave you some names. We're going to give you a couple names in the next segment. I would also tell you Stream of the Week drops on Thursday. We actually premiered on the Wednesday night show. Right now, Josh, I love Josh's picks. If Dak and Goff are out there, if they're not, the next names I'm coming up with are Russell Wilson, maybe still Aaron Rodgers, maybe still Trevor Lawrence. We got to play the matchups a little bit right now, but I would say right now, look for Dak and Goff 100%. They are worth a waiver wire add. If they are not out there, give us 24 hours. Come check back with me on the Wednesday show while I put my Stream of the Week together.
Yeah.
Index and Sus jumps in here and just starts giving commentary on everything. We appreciate you, buddy. He says, Ollie Gordon is a player you do not want to depend on. He is sorry. And then immediately says, never mind. He's not sorry. So not a big fan of Ollie Gordon. He is a big fan of Keenan Allen. But Josh, there was another comment that came in that kind of counteracted this. And I wanted to ask you about that. Maddie Randoms says he sees Keenan Allen as a sell high. He obviously is going to be on our waiver list here in just a few moments, Josh. But I'd like your opinion. You selling on Keenan Allen? You holding on Keenan Allen?
I mean, the only reason that I would even consider moving Keenan Allen is simply because age. And, age is always fickle, especially when you're talking about different kinds of injuries that could play out over a long season. But he's seeing targets, catching touchdowns. This Greg Roman offense doesn't look like a Greg Roman offense at all. They are throwing way more than a Greg Roman offense typically does. They've showed some evolution, and I like it. I appreciate it as a fan of football.
I appreciate it as a fan of Justin Herbert.
Yeah. But I also think, too, people are kind of overreacting to the Keenan Allen presence and how it affects Ladd McConkey. Like, McConkey hasn't been anything special through 2 weeks.
No. But
he's also currently on a higher pace for target share this year than last year. Last year he was at 22.8%. He's at 23% currently right now. So even with Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey's still seeing a higher target share than last year. So I'm not fretting at all. Like he's an ancillary piece. He can be a flex play in a given week with some wide receiver 2 upside. But I mean, if I have an opportunity to trade Keenan Allen and get, I don't know, an Emeka Egbuka and or give me some, maybe a buy low opportunity. Somebody doesn't believe in Brian Thomas Jr. after 2 weeks. Like, I will make those types of moves. Like,
100%.
There's always a price for everybody. So, in a vacuum, sure, you can trade him, but what are you getting in return is kind of the big question.
Yeah. I'm going to let Jamie jump the line real quick here because he brings up an interesting point that I kind of want to push back against. He says, Tuten, on waivers, what kind of leagues are we talking about? Jamie, I don't know if you caught the early part of the show, and I get that you said in all your leagues you were drafting him, which I love. But somehow on ESPN, his rostership percentage went down from week 2 to week 3. People did not believe in Bhayshul Tuten. Maybe it's because they couldn't pronounce his name. I keep jokingly around the house calling him Rootin' Tuten. My wife loves it. He's our new favorite player. That is a guy that you want on your roster, Jamie, but he is out there in 60% of ESPN leagues and 55% of sleeper leagues.
And I'll say this, Jamie. So, I mean, you're running kind of the similar, like, Twitter streets, analyst-driven leagues that we do, right? There's a whole other sector of people that aren't playing fantasy football the exact same way that we are. So we have to cater our content towards those types of players because that's what we need to do. It really just boils down to that. Like, you get a lot more casual type of people that, that spend 5 minutes setting a lineup and making a waiver claim per week.
Yeah. It's
one of my favorite lines from the league when they introduce Adam Brody's character, Chuck. No, not Chuck.
Yeah.
The guy that ends up dying. Spoiler alert. But when he talks about, like, after he ends up winning the league and everybody's just like, what the fuck? He's never around, blah, blah, blah. And he makes that little, like, trash talk video in the beginning of the season. It's just like throwing money by a sandcastle and is like, this is what happens when you only spend 5 minutes a week just setting a lineup and all this stuff. Like, there are plenty of players that play fantasy football that are exactly like that don't know these 4th round rookie picks. So
Jamie owns up to that.
Ted, there you go. That's what it was.
I got to quickly throw this out here real quick, though. This is the Keenan Allen trade all day.
Go get
as quickly as you can. Hit accept and hope that your league doesn't do vetoes. Josh, Sus pushes back on you a little bit on Dak Prescott. He wants to know if that breakout is real or if the Giants are just that bad.
In terms of Dak, I mean, he was throwing the ball pretty well against Philly's defense in week 1. So, I mean, that stat line looks a lot different if CeeDee Lamb hauls in those passes that he drops. Because I'm pretty sure he had like 3 drops that game.
That delay was ridiculous for that game, and I think you're right. Dak could have done a lot more if it wasn't for that ridiculous delay. I mean, I'm not saying a lightning delay shouldn't happen. It definitely should. Caesar, I am with you. I'm riding with that. Wrong comment. Get you up in a second, Caesar. Sus, I'm with you. I'm riding with that Cards defense until the wheels fall off as well. They've played well enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're producing, which, I mean, it is what it is. And again, they've got a great early season schedule. Like, that's why I targeted them in a lot of my redraft leagues that have defenses. Like, all right, cool. And again, first week was kind of meh.
I do want to throw out, Sus was talking about Wandale, not necessarily
gotcha.
I misread the question because obviously I'm getting to these a little bit later. He's saying the Giants just sucks and that's why they're throwing to Wandale. I don't care why they're throwing to him. Just keep throwing to him.
I was going to say they were throwing to him a lot last year. They're still throwing to him a lot this year. That offense runs through Neighbors and Robinson, plain and simple.
Yep. Josh, I think this is a great point by Caesar. In about 2 more weeks when we re-rank these rookies and Egmiku Egbuka is the most important player in fantasy football.
Yeah, I saw I got to find it. Who was it? Crap. Where did I bookmark it? Damn it. I got to find it because I thought the tweet was brilliant. It's from Ryan Heath over at Fantasy Points. Through 2 weeks as rookies, Bucky Irving averaged 5.9 fantasy points per game.
Exactly.
Rashee Rice had 16 total routes. Jahmyr Gibbs had a 37% snap share and only 10.3 fantasy points per game. Devon Achane, through his first 2 weeks as a rookie, played all of 5 snaps. Breece Hall had a 36% snap share and 12.1 fantasy points per game. Najee Harris averaged only 3.2 yards per carry. Justin Jefferson, through 2 weeks as a rookie, was playing behind B.C. Johnson and had only 6 targets. Christian McCaffrey averaged only 2.7 yards per carry. And Nick Chubb had only 5 rush attempts. Moral of the story, rookies take time. Do not panic. So yes, Caesar, it will be very interesting to re-rank rookies in a few weeks.
Drop RJ Harvey, Josh, for Tillman, Wandale, Pittman, Franklin, or Jennings. I hate dropping running backs for wide receivers, Josh, but I would probably grab Wandale Robinson of this group, maybe Jawan Jennings.
Yes, I would probably rank them Wandale, Jennings, and then Tillman. That's how I would rank them, but I'm fine dropping Harvey for any of those guys. Again, I'm kind of assuming this is like an 8 to 10 team league. I'm not rushing to get Pittman. I think Franklin's kind of a flavor of the week, which we'll get to in a little bit, but those would be the three guys that I would focus on.
Right now, nobody's waiting more than 5 minutes for their questions, so I'm going to knock out a segment. We'll come back to your questions in a minute. Every question will get answered. Ride with us. This is a short segment anyway. Mayday. These are the injured or droppable players. You drafted them. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's time to drop them. Josh, the guys I have listed, I'm just going to read off this list. We can talk about who we want to talk about. I say drop Joe Burrow in leagues where there is no IR, and certainly in non-superflex leagues. Anytime I tell you drop a quarterback, it's in a non-superflex league. But drop Joe Burrow in leagues where there's no IR. Drop JJ McCarthy. Drop CJ Stroud. Drop Tank Bigsby. Drop Jerome Ford. Drop Jaden Reed. I don't care if there's an IR. He wasn't doing it beforehand. He's not doing it when he gets back. Drop Mr. Negative yards on 8 targets, Xavier Legette. And Josh, it's time to stop holding on to bad tight ends. Drop Mark Andrews. Drop Evan Ingram. Drop Colston Lovin. My first question to you, Josh, before we talk about any of these players, any pushback, any of these guys you think I am wrong to say you should drop?
I think the only ones that I would be a little cautious would be Evan Ingram and Colston Loveland. I understand Colston Loveland right now is getting out targeted by Cole Kmet. Kmet's basically scored about three times what he has in terms of fantasy points, which again, neither of them are even over 10 fantasy points total through 2 games. But look, it's a rookie tight end. Like we've been spoiled with so many rookie tight end breakouts that I think a lot of people are, just kind of like freaking out. The Bears are playing from behind a lot, which you would think that Colston Loveland should be a lot more used, but he's not. Like Caleb Williams is looking for his guy, and right now that's Rome Odunze. Yeah. And then I think until he starts getting a little bit more comfortable finding, Colston Loveland and adding him to that comfortability metrics, things will pick up. But again, like you drafted him as kind of a low end tight end 1 anyway, with the idea that it might be slow sailing. So I think he's still more of a stash. And again, rookies take time, plain and simple. With Evan Ingram, we literally talked about this all off season. He is a volume guy. And if he's not scoring touchdowns, you need the volume. Right now, he's not getting the volume. And Dusty Demise, there is definitely some injury issues there with Evan Ingram. I'm not fretting just yet, but Mark Andrews, dude, we expected touchdowns. This is why we had him ranked where he ranked. This motherfucker dropped 2 touchdowns in this game in the goddamn end zone.
Yep.
If you're not scoring touchdowns, you have no value to me.
Yep.
I'm fine dropping Mark Andrews.
Josh, my take on all of this was, and I agree with what you're saying, we literally just told people be patient with rookies, and then I'm telling them to drop Colston Loveland. My issue is, let me read you the top 12 tight ends right now. Tucker Kraft is basically free in your drafts. Jawan Johnson is basically free in your league right now. Zach Ertz basically free in your league right now. Tyler Warren was cheap. Trey McBride's great. Brock Bowers is great. Jake Ferguson was cheap in your draft. Harold Fannin was free in your draft until last week. Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. Dalton Kincaid was basically free in your draft. Kyle Pitts was basically free in your draft. Sam Laporta. Those are your top 12. I understand that a lot of those guys are rostered now, but what I'm getting at is the top tight ends every week, they're kind of a surprise. This past week, we saw good Jatavian Sanders. We saw great Jawan Johnson yet again. Davis Allen has found the end zone in back-to-back games, Josh. My problem is with tight end, I don't want to hold on to these mid guys. I understand you hope they pop, but man, if they don't, we're just wasting time at this point.
And that's really what it boils down to. I get it.
Yeah. Josh, I did want to bring up the quarterbacks. So again, I am much like with the tight ends. I don't see the point in wasting time on a bad quarterback. I think some people out there might have given some pushback on JJ McCarthy because he's only going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. But my thing is, JJ McCarthy has looked awful, as has CJ Stroud. I just don't see it to the point where you're going to feel comfortable starting these guys. And then Josh, in a non-IR league, I'm not worried about starting Joe Burrow in my week 16 and 17 championship when he hasn't played in 3 months. So.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big issue there with Joe Burrow is the length of the injury could knock him out anywhere from 12 to 14 games. So, there are plenty of leagues that either don't have IR or only have 1 to 2 IR spots. And with the way that running backs get hurt, the way that wide receivers have gotten hurt over the years, those IR spots become premium. And you're basically holding out hope that you even get to the playoffs so that you can benefit from Joe Burrow, right? So I'm fine if you need to make that move because, maybe a Bhayshul Tuten is on waivers. Like if I'm dropping Joe Burrow to get Bhayshul Tuten, I will do that 100% of the time. Yeah. Am I going to drop Joe Burrow for Trey Benson? Maybe not. I'm probably not going to drop Joe Burrow to go grab Troy Franklin, flavor of the week. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it really just kind of depends on the value of the player. So, like, for these first few weeks, maybe you can hang on to them until somebody really shows that, hey, it's worth, that waiver priority or that FAAB to go get this person. But at the end of the day, Joe Burrow, he's not helping you at minimum until the fantasy playoffs. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. McCarthy, we've said this for a while. Between QB 8 and QB 18, there's about 10, 11 guys that could be anywhere in between. Stroud and McCarthy are easily within that category. So to me, they're streaming options anyway.
There you go. Jamie brings up one more drop, so I'm letting him jump the line here. Is Jerry Jeudy a drop, Josh? Obviously, I think this
was in sarcasm because I
thought so too because of the drop passes.
But you know what? It offers a fun topic because Jeudy does drop a lot of passes. But here's the difference. Mark Andrews has 4 targets through 2 games. Jerry Jeudy has 16.
Yep.
Okay. Mark Andrews is valuable in fantasy football, not because he sees target volume, because he's supposed to be catching touchdowns.
Yep.
And right now he's not doing that.
Drops and
he's
fumbles.
Not getting targeted in this offense.
Drops and fumbles have been the story of Mark Andrews' last 3 games, Josh.
Basically, yeah. So for all we know, motherfucker's got the yips. With Jerry Jeudy, he's getting outproduced by Cedric Tillman. I'm just saying.
Yep. I wrote that in the article, and Jamie, I was thinking of you when I wrote that in my article because I said a lot of people thought Cedric Tillman was better suited to be the wide receiver 1. And Jamie was one of those people. He said it on our show, our mock draft show. Yep. Index of sus. Going back to the comments now. Puka's the number 1 in LA, and Davante Adams is still at 13 targets through 2 games. This is clearly an offense that can support 2 wide receivers, but it's very clear the preseason reports of Davante Adams stealing Puka's spot were not true.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Davante Adams getting a lot of red zone targets.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest reason why I like Davante Adams as a potential top 12 wide receiver in this Rams offense, because all those red zone targets that Cooper Kupp left, they just do not target Puka Nacua in the red zone very often. Yeah. Near as much as
he did score his touchdown at the 5-yard line this year or this week. So
Puka?
Oh no, that was the long one.
He had a 45-yard run for a touchdown.
Nope. I do want to say they targeted him in the 5 because I was watching for a Kyron Williams, but he did not score. You're absolutely right. Got stopped at the 1. Kyron Williams.
And there was one drive where they were in the red zone where they literally threw 3 straight passes to Davante Adams from inside the 5.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, that's kind of the point that I'm getting at. Those end zone targets are going to Davante Adams over Puka Nacua. So, he's going to see target volume, but he also, to me, has a much higher touchdown upside than Puka. Puka is going to have massive volume because that's what Puka is in this offense. These two can very much work independently of each other. I have a friend of mine that I'm in a draft with, or I'm in a league with her, and she completely misread it, but she drafted Puka and Davante Adams. And I was like, hey, you know what? This could very well work. This week, she outscored everybody.
Yeah.
It happens. Like, these two can work independent of each other the same way that I feel like Egbuka and Mike Evans can work independent of each other. Same way that Etienne and Bhayshul Tuten can work independent of each other. Sometimes you have offenses where 2 people at the same position can still do great. This is one of those offenses.
Boom. Craig Lennox, tough running back matchups. Should he keep riding the rookies, RJ Harvey or Hampton, or should he grab a guy like Etienne? Grab a guy like Etienne, start him over both of these guys. But I guess, Josh, let's answer this question the way it should be answered. Start ETN, but out of RJ Harvey and Amari and Hampton, who are you continuing to roll out there? I think it has to be Hampton, right?
Yeah, it still has to be Hampton. He's actually starting. RJ Harvey is the complementary piece right now. J.K. Dobbins is seeing the volume. We saw the upside with RJ Harvey in week 1. That's what it boils down to. Like, this is the key piece here. This was the electricity that was going to come to this Broncos offense. And it's only a matter of time before RJ Harvey works himself into more touches. But again, rookie starts slow. So, as of right now, he's a hold. I'm only dropping him out of pure necessity. Like if I'm like absolutely ravaged at a position, you have to make those tough calls.
Yeah. For anybody who watches on YouTube, when you see my crazy faces, it's because I'm reading the comments, not very much reacting to what Josh is saying. I spend more time reading your comments than I do listening to Josh. It's just the nature of the show. Josh, let me throw this up here. Let George cut the line real quick. Tyreek Hill, Travis Hunter, and Mondre for DK and Hampton. Normally, I would say this person definitely believes in Omari and Hampton, but it's like you're already also giving up on Travis Hunter. It's a weird trade to me.
It's definitely a weird trade. I mean, but again, I think this is very much a trade of to each their own, because after week 1, everybody was off the Miami Dolphins offense, right? Yeah. Like, you know, we saw Tyreek Hill bounce back. Like we knew it was kind of coming. 6 for, I think it was 106. Solid bounce back. Cool. Dolphins scored 27 points. Tyreek Hill doesn't get in the end zone. That's not fun. Travis Hunter played a lot more defense this week. Wasn't near as involved on offense. So that now sort of becomes, hey, is this sort of the mold here when you're talking about Travis Hunter, where 1 week he's going to see 9 targets because they don't think that they need him on defense. Well, then you go up against a team like Cincinnati, who has primo wide receiver weapons like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And hey, you know what? We might need some cornerback depth. We got to stop these elite guys.
Yep.
We need him more on defense. He ended up playing, I think, 85 snaps in week 2 between offense and defense. Again, this is not something that truly can be sustained over a full course of the season. So there's going to be times where maybe he only plays 20 defensive snaps, plays 45, 50 on offense.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times.
In week 1, they said he only played 6 defensive snaps. So.
And there you go. So that like quadrupled plus like 8 times what it was in week 2, right? So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs there. So I think that you're going to have some people that don't value Travis Hunter the same way they did preseason because of this right here. Ramondre's got some juice. Like we've talked about it all off season. He's going to be involved in that Patriots running game, and we saw it this week. DK is the guy in
100%.
You know, a little bit of a down week. I was definitely disappointed, but he did catch the touchdown. Hampton, better days are ahead, plain and simple. Like I'm not denying that. I wouldn't make this trade, but I can definitely see why somebody would bail on Hill and Hunter. Doesn't value them the same way they did preseason, and then they go for the guys that they
Hampton
think
is the upgrade.
Yep.
Plus, you get a roster spot to go sign Wan'Dale Robinson or Bhayshul Tuten. So.
Yep.
Half PPR, 12-team league, 1 QB, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 2 flex. Pretty standard league. Your flex can be a tight end. He has Fields, Chase Brown, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Brock Bowers, Rome Odunze, and my guy Bill. Packers kicker, Packers defense. Bench is this. Is there a question to go? Oh, okay. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm reading this whole thing. I'm not here to read Jacob's roster. Waivers, dropping Fields for Daniel Jones, dropping McCarthy for Drake May, dropping Caleb for Wan'Dale Robinson, dropping Sampson for Tuten. Love every single one of these. I don't love dropping Sampson, Josh. I guess my question, Josh, would you drop Golden over Sampson?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, that's coming from somebody that I like, Matthew Golden. But at the end of the day, 12-team leagues, you can't be patient. You got to go get your guys. And if guys like Tuten and Wan'Dale are on waivers, you got to grab them, and because they're going to make impact right now.
Let's be clear, with Lamb, JSN, and Dunze, you're never starting your bench wide receivers anyway. Having Wan'Dale as your one bench wide receiver is the perfect one bench wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm definitely fine with that. Now, I think the bigger question becomes, how would you rank these from a priority perspective in the event that this league doesn't have FAAB?
It's not super flex, so the quarterbacks go to the bottom. For me, it's exactly how I rated it in my article. It is Tuten, Wan'Dale. It's Drake May. Drake May should not be this available. Tuten, Wan'Dale, Drake May, Daniel Jones. Just reverse the order. That's how I'm doing it.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
There you go. Smitty, 2 QB league. Daniels is hurt, questionable. I'm like, he's Q. Daniels is questionable. Brock Purdy is out. Backup quarterbacks are Ward and Rattler. At least you have starters. Running backs are B-Rob and Monty. That's rough. Bill, Mac Jones, Browning, Wentz, Taylor, Mariota. What's the priority, please? Okay, so all of these guys are available right now. Bill, Mac Jones, Jake Browning, Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota. It's a 2 QB league. So unfortunately, Bill has to go to the bottom of this list, right, Josh? Even though this, I don't know, you need to start a running back. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I hate to say it, but here's the thing. It's two quarterbacks. Daniels is questionable. I think he's only going to miss a couple weeks,
and you
really
still
1
have
week,
2 starters.
if anything, and you still have 2 starters. Like Ward and Rattler can get you by for this week.
Yep.
Purdy maybe only misses 1 more week.
Yep.
And then you get your starter back in week 4.
That's a good point.
So
you got to go Bill
I don't
first.
think you need to burn your priority on any of these backup guys, especially someone like Mariota, who's only going to play 1 game.
I would say Browning is the only one that kind of matters. Oh, okay. He did clarify. His starting running backs are Hendo and Connors. I was so fucking nervous for you, my guy. I was like, these are the worst starting running backs I have ever seen.
But even then, like, Henderson, fantasy points per touch is 100% up there, but the touches total just aren't there yet. Like, he was getting overshot by Antonio Gibson this week.
Josh,
right?
I think he's actually telling us, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question against Smitty. I think B-Rob and Monty are his drops. I would hold Monty. I would move B-Rob for Bill, and then I would prioritize the quarterbacks behind Bill just in case you don't get him.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I would go Bill first, just simply because you really do. You need a running back, and I think you're fine at quarterback, at least for now. Then I wouldn't worry about Mariota. Definitely wouldn't worry about Taylor.
Or Wentz.
Yeah, or Wentz. I think I would probably go Bill, Browning, and then Mac Jones. And I say only Jones simply because you do have Purdy. But the 2 for me are Bill and Browning.
Oh.
In that order, yeah.
Craig Lennox just throwing some glaze on Troy Franklin, says he looks good for Denver, could be the wide receiver 1 there. We'll talk about him in a future segment. Give us a little bit on that. Joe Ortiz is going to pop up any second now. Does he drop all his fab on Mahomes in a chop league? Don't drop all your fab on anybody in a chop league. He lost Burrow, so you need a quarterback. Just find all the starters, take a reasonable amount of your cash, and layer the starters as your new signing, but don't drop. No, your goal is to not.
And Mahomes definitely isn't the guy that you're dropping all your fab on.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Your goal is to not finish last, and Mahomes isn't guarantee you're not finishing last. He is not worth all of it.
I was gonna say in my 1 chop league, Jamar Chase was one of the first cuts, and I was so tempted to put all of it on Chase, all $1,000 of it. But I was like, you know what? It's still early. Let me pace it out. I think I bid like almost 60%. Like, I put him at $599, and I think the winner ended up getting him for $641. And I was like, well, you know what? Is what it is. Now I'm kind of like happy I didn't, because I mean, yes, Chase went off in week 2, and that's great. But now with the Burrow injury, it does make me a little bit nervous. And I mean, I finished like 4th in that in that week 2.
That's
and I'm just
all
like,
that matters is how close were you to the bottom.
Yep.
Mark Fullerson lost Fields. Should he go for Goff, Stafford, T-Law, Daniel Jones? Jones is my 1, but Goff isn't available enough, I think, to be on my list, Josh. So I think this really comes down to Jones versus Goff. How do you feel about that?
It's a 1 QB league. I always want the guys with the rushing upside. So honestly, I would prefer Jones and T-Law over Goff. And again, like I said, I do think that this Lions offense will eventually struggle. This was a revenge game week for them with Ben Johnson on the opposite sideline. Goff is outdoors. He traditionally struggles outdoors.
That's a good point. That's a really
gets
good
them
point.
this week. As I mentioned earlier in the show, yeah, he's going to throw a ton, but he could very well be the guy that goes from 5 passing touchdowns to 5 passing interceptions.
So. Smitty, your clarification is perfect. Bill, Browning, Mac Jones. That's exactly how we would prioritize it as well. Maddie needs a wide receiver. Do we think the Bijan owner will trade one of his wide receivers for Algier in a 14-team league? Obviously, we would need to know who his wide receivers are, but I think that is a great trade that you're doing.
I think that's a good target. Yeah, like, I mean, anytime you have those deeper leagues, like, I feel like you have a lot of fantasy managers that are a lot more willing to, trade a less significant piece to essentially handcuff their starter. Because, I mean, again, like, Algier's not somebody, he's not a traditional RB2 in the sense that we haven't really seen a ton of production from. Like, he gets plenty of volume. He scored the only touchdown in this for the Falcons, right? Like, there's all of that goes into it. Like, he gets work. Plus, We've already seen 1,000-yard season from Algier. We know he can handle a workload in the event that there's any issues with Bijan Robinson.
Yes, Bijan Robinson's manager should want Algier very much. Marcus needs to pick up either Drake May or Jared Goff, both tougher matchups. Pittsburgh, and then, as you mentioned, Detroit outdoors to start in place of Jaden Daniels. Josh, obviously, it's Drake May. Okay, I was going to say, I know we've kind of talked about this a couple of times on today's show. George, should he try to trade Javonte Pollard with Worthy and a bench player for Swift and Higgins? So let's say I wouldn't do this for Javonte. So let's say Pollard and Worthy, Swift and Higgins. I think that's fine, Josh, if you don't want to.
If you can find somebody that's willing to trade for Worthy, considering the shoulder injury, and I think that's really the biggest thing.
And then he does throw in there that he's considering shooting for Ashton Genty, but he thinks they'd want Chase Brown, even with the shitty situation Chase Brown's in. I'm not moving him for Genty right this moment. So maybe I would.
I was going to say, I think I'd still want Genty over Chase Brown.
Yeah, so that might be worth it as well to sweeten the pot up there. You take Genty, he takes Chase Brown. That Cincinnati offense isn't what it was last week. Let's just put it bluntly. Millie Mills asked if we're talking about Tyquan Thornton. Millie, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I considered putting him in even the deep league section. I didn't do it. I want to see it one more week. So I did give you credit, Millie, if you go back and watch the beginning of the show, for breaking that Jaden Daniels news yesterday. So we appreciate that. But no Tyquan Thornton talk this week. This is a great question, Josh. Do we think it's too early to drop Samson and Caleb? We've been telling people all show not to drop rookies. It depends on who's out there, though, because the one person, I think it was Jacob, asked the question. It was Jacob. Your waiver options are better than these two, and they were younger. So
yeah, and it really just boils down to what the options are, right? Like I think I would be much more willing to part with Caleb than I am Samson. Now, yes, I understand, Judkins comes in, things start rolling for him, 10 carries, 61, 62 yards, whatever it was, like really good first impression on his limited snaps. But you also have to factor in, there's a good chance that Judkins gets suspended this year.
Yeah.
And that is only going to keep Samson's value. But while Judkins is playing, Samson is still playing. He's seeing all the passing down work. Jerome Ford's the one that's getting cut out of that backfield.
That is not what happened this past week. I just want to throw that out there. Samson fell to 3 targets. Ford had 5. So they used everybody this week. But it was also a weird blowout week. So
yeah.
George, we actually answered this, I think, for you or for someone else, but we both think it's Daniel Jones in this situation.
Correct.
And then, Josh, before we move on, and I'm going to tell everybody right now, we are going to rework the show sheet for next week. We are going to move the waiver section above the drop section. We love all the questions, but it's 52 minutes in, and we haven't talked the primary waiver section of this show yet. But Boston Billups wants to know, trade his Tyler Warren for Mike Evans in a 1-flex PPR league. He already has Kyle Pitts. He has Jamar Chase. He has DK at wide receiver, but someone wants his Tyler Warren for Mike Evans. I like this trade, Josh. I don't think you need to hold too many tight ends.
Yeah, well, you don't need to hold tight ends. Pitts is fine. He's a startable tight end in fantasy football. Can Tyler Warren be a difference maker? Yes, 100%. I still want Mike Evans over Tyler Warren. Plain and simple. Like, I will much rather take a wide receiver 2 over a top 5 tight end because I can find top 5 tight end production on the waiver wire.
All right, let me tell you guys what we're going to do here because this show's going to run over. That's fine. We'll probably be done at the 75-minute mark. We have 2 waiver sections. We're going to knock both of these out, and then we will finish up user questions after that. So this is going to be the big waiver section of the show. We want to start with what we call Morse code. This is the cheat code to win your league. These are your standard 10 to 12 team leagues. We're going to break these down by position. Josh, when I went through, I looked for the guys who are available in 50% of ESPN leagues that people are probably talking about. Do we agree that they should be started? Do we not agree that they should be started? We've already covered a lot of these in the questions, but for quarterbacks, Josh, I have Mac Jones, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Trevor Lawrence. And someone alluded to this earlier with their Wan'Dale Robinson question. The question I wanted to ask you with Russell Wilson, Josh, is do we still think Jackson Dart is nipping at his heels and this is a flash in the pan against a weird Dallas matchup or do we trust that Russell Wilson maybe earned himself a little bit of a leash this week?
Russ earned himself a leash. There's no question about that. And honestly, the way that the Giants coaching staff and front office are talking about, Russ and Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson's job is safe. Like it's not like they want to let Jackson Dart kind of sit and, hold a clipboard and watch and learn kind of thing. Like, they worked him into a couple packages, which honestly, I felt like that very well could have disrupted all of the momentum that Russell Wilson had this game. But I mean, Russ is fine. I think the biggest thing is that if you're picking him up thinking you're getting 400 yards every single week, stop, because that's just not happening.
Exactly.
This definitely feels like, Russ is going to come back down to earth and have like a really bad Russ game coming up. I can't imagine that KC's going to lose 4 in a row. Like, let's be honest here. So, there's a KC bounce back, and that Giants offensive line just not looking great, honestly.
See some new names in the chat. You guys all just dropped questions. We're going to do 2 waiver sections, and then we will answer every question before we get out of here on the show. Josh, you bring up great points about Russell Wilson, because it's essentially like the next guy on the list, Aaron Rodgers. We saw that 4 touchdowns. We told people don't expect 4 touchdowns again. Rodgers was serviceable in week 2, but he wasn't what we saw in week 1. That's what you're expecting out of Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson this week. As we move on to the running backs, again, these are guys that should not be available in 50% of leagues. I was a little surprised they are. Tyler Algier, Rachaad White, Najee Harris. Not a long list. You guys are actually doing a great job of rostering running backs this year. Keep that up. Josh, we need to talk a little bit about Rachaad White, probably a little bit more about Najee Harris. I just know that Josh is a notorious Rachaad White hater, and then Rachaad White steals a touchdown last night, upsetting Josh greatly. Josh, talk to us a little bit about why we shouldn't be blowing a lot of FAAB on Rachaad White this week.
It's the same thing that I said about DeAndre Hopkins in week 1. Don't get blinded by 1 touchdown. Rachaad White is averaging 6 carries per game. 6. That's it.
Yeah.
He has 12 carries through 2 weeks. Now, for as much as I talk about how inefficient Rachaad White is, he's averaging over 6 yards a carry this year. So, hey, kudos for finally figuring out in your 4th year in the league. But for a guy whose main role is and value to fantasy football is the fact that, he catches passes through 2 games. He has 3 targets, 3 catches, 3 yards. I'm not rushing out there to get the RB 38 through 2 weeks. Just don't care.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then
Najee, I want. He had some juice. He looked like he had, hey, you know what? Taking 4 weeks off in the preseason, that was a savvy veteran move to blow your eye up in a 4th of July accident, right? Like
2 catches for 20 yards.
Chestnut checkers, baby.
Yeah. 2 catches for 20 yards. We were worried about the receiving game in this offense, Josh. You'd like to see that from him.
Yeah, 100%. And quite honestly, Marion Hampton hasn't looked like him, quite honestly. So, Najee is somebody that needs to be rostered. I agree.
At wide receiver, a lot of these guys moved up from last week's deep leagues into now you want to start considering them in 10 and 12 team leagues. I'm going to lump the 2 Denver wide receivers together, Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims. We're going to spend a little time on them. Someone in the chat pointed out DeAndre Hopkins now has 2 touchdowns. I guess he's a last roster spot consideration.
He's taking Mark Andrews' job. That's what it is.
That's such a good point. Oh my God. How did I not see that? And then Josh, the 2 I think we need to start with are Kayshon Boutte and Alec Ayamanar. I'm going to start with Boutte, Josh, just because the targets are there. I want to give you some time to talk about Alec. I always forget which one it is, but I want to give you some time to talk about him because we should have talked about him last week and you had some regrets there. The fact for me is, Josh, in no 10 or 12 team league should Kayshon Boutte be out there. He is very clearly the wide receiver 1. Yes, Diggs has 3 more targets. Boutte has 40 more yards, 30 more yards, has a touchdown, has a longer reception this year, averaging more per target, certainly averaging more per reception. He's doing everything for them. That role's not going anywhere. And Josh, we could say the same thing about that rookie Ayamanar, who really stepped up for Tennessee. And Josh, you saw a glimpse of this in a bad week 1, and we didn't fit him into the show last week, and it was a good week 2 for the rookie.
Yeah, so I'll start with Boutte. Not to share the most obvious joke, but I'm grabbing Boutte everywhere. Like,
Jamie loves some Boutte.
Like, I have been all over Kayshon Boutte through the first couple of weeks of waivers. I kind of regretted not starting him week 1 in my Scott Fishbowl team because goodness gracious, having 30 some odd points on my bench was not fun. But yeah, he really looks like the main piece, truthfully, of this passing game. He caught the touchdown this week. I believe he only had 2 targets in this game, which really was kind of strange. But again, you're talking about, Hunter Henry did nothing and the Patriots scored 33 points. Like, it felt a little weird, but again, like he's somebody that just needs to be rostered, and trot him out there, start him in your flex. I'm perfectly fine with that. When it comes to Ayamanor, yeah, after we got off the show, literally I texted you
1 minute after we got off the show.
Very upset that we did not bring him up, especially in the deep waiver section. Yes, it was a very not great week 1. But when you look at target share, first read target share, all of those things were pointing in Ayamanor's favor. And while I didn't think that this was going to be a great matchup for Tennessee, Ayamanor came through. I think he had 4 catches, 56 yards. And of course, the big, no touchdown that rookies or really any quarterback shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Homeboy went up and did it anyway, throwing 40 yards, I believe it was, across his body to make that touchdown catch. But I loved Ayamanor's college profile when we had Jagger May on our wide receiver stars of tomorrow show. I believe he had Ayamanor as his wide receiver 3. And for some reason, this kid fell to the 4th round, but he absolutely dominated Travis Hunter in college. Like, he is a talented wide receiver. But when you look at the rookies through 2 weeks, he has the highest target share of any of them at 23%. And he has the highest air yard share at 40% among all rookie wide receivers. Like, they are looking his way. And when you look at this Tennessee offense, outside of Calvin Ridley, who the hell else are they throwing to? Ayamanor has a role in this offense. And he ranks 7th in the NFL just on first read target share at 25%. And that's via statrankings.com. So, like, he's seeing the volume. It's only a matter of time before he becomes a top 30 wide receiver, and you're left wondering why you weren't on him earlier.
Yeah.
Start paying attention to him.
Yep, it's a name I'm going to be looking for in all my leagues today when I get off this show and go put my waiver claims in. Josh, let's wrap up the wide receivers with one quick question. You have 1 roster spot left. Which Denver wide receiver do you want to spend it on, Troy Franklin or Marvin Mims?
I'm not off Marvin Mims yet.
Okay.
I do want to stress that. I'm not off Marvin Mims yet. Again, Troy Franklin's week 2 pop really did kind of feel like the Sean Payton flavor of the week, but there's definitely some good things working in Troy Franklin's favor. I pulled these stats from Derek Brown over at Fantasy Pros. Franklin has a 29% targets per route run, which is currently 6th in the NFL, and has 2.61 yards per route run, which is 14th. Both of those are very strong metrics, not just on the Broncos, but also over the NFL as a whole. He has connection with Bo Nix going all the way back to Oregon. Like, these are very close friends. So I'm not shying away from Troy Franklin. Like, if I have a roster spot, I will make that grab. But if I have Marvin Mims, I'm not outright dropping him for Troy Franklin.
Yeah.
And I do have a lot of Marvin Mims. So
yeah, that's what I was wondering. To me, I think that he's the guy that's getting more of the routes. He's starting right now. I kind of want to see how it plays out. What's clear,
if you decide on Franklin, I'm not mad at you.
What's clear is the preseason love of rookie Pat Bryant was misplaced. It's Troy Franklin and it's Marvin Mims. Moving on to the tight ends. These are the guys that you're mainly going to be considering streaming, though I think 2 of them take you out of the streaming game, maybe even 3. Juwan Johnson, Zach Ertz, Harold Fainin, I think should be rostered in most leagues at this point. And then if you're still looking in a 12-team league, Jonnu Smith and Brenton Strange give a little bit of juice. Josh, for Juwan Johnson, I just want to give a shout out to HoovTube. Me and him have been going at it in the chats lately where I basically have been saying all tight ends suck. Stop coming at me about tight ends, Hoov. All in good fun. I like the good guys. I hate the bad guys, and all of them suck, except for Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. Hoov has been pushing back as a Saints fan with Juwan Johnson. And I'm going to be honest. I dismissed it a little bit as too much of a Saints fan. Looking at this offense, Josh, this is Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and Juwan Johnson. He is one of the top 3 targets in this offense, which is something you want, and it's working out pretty damn well for fantasy right now. I think you could pick up Johnson, not have to worry about streaming anymore.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to pay attention to him. I think Kellen Moore looked at this team, and Kellen Moore has a history of targeting the tight end.
He does.
Let's not dismiss this. But he looked at this wide receiver room and said, and I really don't have anybody outside of Chris Olave. And that's no disrespect to Rashid Shaheed. I like Rashid Shaheed. He caught a touchdown in week 2.
But here's the thing. This wasn't the offense that made Rashid Shaheed a thing, and that is looking like a problem right now. So.
Yeah, it really is. So, Kellen Moore looked at Juwan Johnson, said, I've got a guy that, basically is a wide receiver. He played wide receiver in college and then converted to tight end and said, I can move him around. I can do a lot of these different things. Let's have some fun here.
Yeah.
And he's having some fun. Now, this is what I will preface. Remember when the Saints started really hot last year? And again, completely different offense, different head coach, all these things. And they came back to earth and we bought in and said, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
I don't have him highlighted, but I want to quickly throw out Juwan Johnson, tight end 2, Zach Ertz, tight end 3. If you're in tight end trouble right now, go get Zach Ertz. But Josh, I was of the opinion Harold Fannin might come back down to earth. 5 catches on 5 targets for 48 yards. If you're in a PPR league, I think Harold Fannin might be a startable tight end in this terrible tight end landscape.
Yeah, definitely kind of looks that way. Didn't have the big pop that he did week 1. The usage is definitely there. But again, I'll say, back-to-back weeks where Joe Flacco has thrown 45 pass attempts.
Well, there's also the issue of Browns fans are already saying, let's see what we have in Dylan Gabriel. So how much longer is this even Joe Flacco's offense?
And there lies the other point, right? Like, he's not helping them win games, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I said all off season. Joe Flacco is washed. He will throw the football, but he's not going to win you games.
Not that Kenny Pickett's great, but it should have been the 2 rookies in Pickett. It should not have been Joe Flacco. I
agree wholeheartedly. Like, you need to see what you have in these young guys. This is not a good team, plain and simple. And Quinshon Judkins averaged over 6 yards a carry. They drafted him with the idea that he's going to be a bell cow. He is going to get this Stefanski offense back to what they want to do. If they don't, if the league does not suspend Judkins and we start getting more Judkins, we're going to see 20 carry per game Quinshon Judkins. If that happens, Joe Flacco's not throwing the ball 45 times. Yeah. That is the only legitimate thing that worries me with Harold Fannin, because then it becomes who gets the targets, Njoku or Fannin.
Yeah, and Njoku's certainly been for the guy who wasn't free in drafts, Njoku's been the disappointing one. As I mentioned, folks, we're going to get all your questions in after this next segment. I want to get through these waivers. Like, subscribe if you appreciate the content we're bringing you. If you appreciate that we answer every fucking question we get on this show, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure you guys hit that follow button. If you ever want to join us live, this show goes up after. We are live on YouTube every Tuesday at 11 a.m. to talk waivers. And if you want to talk after the show, Discord's there. All of our Club Fantasy writers are in our Discord. We'll be more than happy to help you out. We call this one deep sea diving. As we mentioned, we spent a lot of time learning about 8-team leagues. We spent a lot of time learning about 14-team leagues, and my home league happens to be a 14-team league. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a list of players that I was a little surprised are still available in my 14-team league. If you were in a deep league, these might be guys to go check your waivers for. This is in order of position as well, but I'm going to read the whole list. We're going to talk about a few of these guys, then we're going to answer your questions. Jake Browning, Spencer Rattler, Bryce Young at quarterback. Yes, the Panthers hater, Bryce Young at quarterback. Speaking of Panthers hater, though he's now a Cowboy. Starting off the running backs, Miles Sanders has been playing more than I thought he would. Blake Corum's playing more than I thought he would. Kenneth Gainwell's playing more than I thought he would. Woody Marks, we have to eat a little crow there, just a little bit. Justice Hill, Chris Brooks caught 3 passes for the Packers. Those are the running backs in the deep league. Hunter Renfrow all of a sudden matters, which is weird. De'Ami Brown, shout out to Austin Amendola who called that this week. I mentioned Calvin Austin last week. I'm going to mention him again this week. Torrey Horton catches his first touchdown. Dontavian Wicks is a player we need to talk about. Millie calls me out in the chat. Yes, Jatavian Sanders, I had already considered talking about him. Jake Tongas, the tight end out there in San Francisco. Luke Farrell caught the first touchdown, but Tongas still played well and caught the touchdown in week 1. I think there's still a viable option there. Davis Allen has touchdowns in 2 consecutive games, and Chigoziem Okonkwo is still a part of that Titans offense. Josh, let's start with the funny ones here. Woody Marks, we told somebody yesterday not to worry about signing Woody Marks. He went out and caught a 37-yard pass on his only reception of the game, did a little bit in the running game. Nick Chubb looked okay, but it does seem that Woody Marks is the primary backup in Houston, Josh.
He had 4 touches. Stop. He had 4 touches. Stop.
Okay. Stop. There we go. That's all we need.
And honestly, look, this is a Bucs run defense that's really good. I did not think that Nick Chubb was going to do much of anything. And quite frankly, up until that 25-yard touchdown run, he was doing nothing. And even with that touchdown run, 3.6 yards per carry, 43 yards.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't the game to get hyped about Woody Marks anyway. But I mean, CJ Stroud had, 4 carries, but yeah, they basically use Woody Marks as the primary backup. So
yeah,
I mean, if you're not a Nick Chubb fan, sure, go out and grab Woody Marks.
Josh, someone brought up in the show yesterday Jake Browning's significant playing time when he replaced Joe Burrow last time. I think he was the QB7. Someone said tons of attempts, tons of yards. He does turn the ball over if you're in a heavy turnover league. But Josh, in a 14-team league, I think Jake Browning should be probably rostered.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 14-team leagues, I think there's definitely a premium on backup quarterbacks. So, looking at the expected time missed for Joe Burrow, Jake Browning absolutely needs to be rostered. And quite frankly, he's got better weapons than damn near any backup quarterback that's going to come in and play. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to disregard Jake Browning from fantasy.
Jaden Reed going to miss probably 2 months, Josh. Dontavian Wicks tends to be the guy to step up. Christian Watson also out, but it kind of feels like Matthew Golden is going to be the one to fill that Christian Watson role. Is Dontavian Wicks, now that they are down Christian Watson and Jaden Reed, is Dontavian Wicks a consideration in a deep league?
Here's the best part about Dontavian Wicks. We laugh and we joke all the time about how the dude he has Swiss cheese for hands. 75% catch rate to start this season. Apparently he finally figured out how to catch the football.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, the same reason why we talked about Romeo Doubs earlier in the show, Dontavian Wicks needs to be a priority because when he's on, he is a damn good wide receiver for them. And he's shown that over his first couple of years. So now that he's going to get more opportunity, it's basically going to be a matter of who shines opposite Romeo Doubs. Is it Wicks? Is it Golden? I think many of us with rookie fever are rooting Golden, but we can't discount Dontavian Wicks.
I'm going to throw Millie up on the screen here as I eat some crow with the Carolina Panthers. Let me tell you guys about my journey with the Carolina Panthers. I fell hook, line, and sinker last year when Bryce Young was at 4 consecutive games with a touchdown, and then it was 5, and then it was 6, and it got to 9 consecutive games with a touchdown. And I was telling you guys.
10. Got the 10.
10. Thank you, Josh. And I was telling you guys, I'm bought into this offense, and I was all offseason up until August. We'll get to that in a second. I was bought in. A lot of you guys rightfully pointed out that Bryce Young got good when they were in garbage time and in playing from behind. And my counterpoint was they still suck. They're still going to be in garbage time. They're still going to be playing from behind. Well, guess what happened this week? First of all, Bryce Young turned the ball over on their first 2 fucking possessions, folks. First 2, Bryce Young, turnovers. Just putting that out there. He's still not great. But the fact of the matter is this. He put up numbers this week because they were playing from behind, and it worked out for Hunter Renfrow, and it worked out for Jatavian Sanders. 7 receptions for 54 yards. Millie, I don't know what you saw last week. Maybe it was the 13 yards per catch that made you come in here and talk your shit about Jatavian Sanders. But kudos to you, my guy, because you were right. And Josh, in a 14-team league, if you were streaming tight ends, Jatavian Sanders, as long as you go into this expecting that you're not getting any points until the 4th quarter, Jatavian Sanders is a guy that is worth looking at.
Well, and really what it boils down to, when you're targeting a wide receiver 8 times and they deliver -2 yards, you're going to start looking elsewhere. And Xavier Legette, he hasn't done it. So they look Hunter Renfro's way, and then they look Jatavian Sanders' way. And that's what it boils down to. Like,
about
8
Xavier
targets,
Legette,
-2 yards.
Most targets to ever have negative yards in an NFL
it's
game.
Unfathomable production from Xavier Legette this year, or lack thereof. Like, it's baffling to me. So, yeah, like at this point, if you're the Panthers and you're Dave Canales, why are you going to continue to throw to Xavier Legette? You have to start looking at your other options. And the sooner that Jalen Coker gets back, the further Xavier Legette's going to be buried on the target tree.
Perfect. Let's get into these questions, Josh. That's going to wrap up the waivers for this show. Thank you guys for riding with us. We have a lot of questions to catch up on. We're going to answer every one of them before we get out of here. So he says his wide receivers are Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, meaning the guy he's trying to trade with, Christian Kirk. Does he offer Algier and Allen for a star wide receiver? Josh, there's no star wide receiver on this team. There's no trade to make here. Maybe Algier for Olave or for one of those first 3 receivers straight up, but I'm not doing a 2-for-1 on this.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, I'm fine if you think that Terry McLaurin has a better rest of season than Keenan Allen, I'm okay with that. I mean, look, Terry McLaurin started slow last year.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Caught fire.
I would start as a straight trade, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, but here's the thing. I feel like those types of moves happen more in Dynasty where you're trading a wide receiver for a wide receiver. Doesn't really happen in redraft. Like
I meant Algier for one of those guys. This is the Bijan manager. I would offer Algier for one of those guys and see how desperate he was. But you do bring up a good point. This guy also.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? If I could get Algier for Worthy, like take advantage of the injury.
Exactly.
Maybe somebody panics because, hey, I'm not getting any production here. Kick the tires. What's the worst that can happen? They call you a fucking idiot. Okay,
and if they keep declining or call you a fucking idiot, keep sending trade offers. They could still accept. That's when you throw Allen in there. Don't jump right to Allen. Southwick 77, 10 team trade Bucky and Pearsall for Josh Allen and James Conner. What an interesting trade. Do you go elite at quarterback? Basically, Josh, you chose to draft Bucky over Josh Allen. Pearsall and Connor don't mean much to me here, except that Connor does make up for the Bucky you're losing a little bit. But Josh, you already chose Bucky over Josh Allen. Are you ready to go back on that? I don't mean you personally.
I need to know who their quarterback is. That's literally what I need to know. Like,
there you go.
I mean, I get it. Josh Allen is elite.
He lost Fields. He has Bijan and Bill. He lost Fields.
Oh my God. If I could pair Bijan Robinson and Josh Allen, I would do that in a heartbeat.
There you go. Do the trade. I love it. And then Josh brings up, we have a super chat that I didn't even see. Skeeter jump into the front of the line, pick 3 to start. Tedero McMillan. I was like, who the fuck is T-Mac? Or it might be Terry McLaurin. But we're going to go Tedero McMillan. No, that is a nickname. Yep. Tedero McMillan, Tyreek Hill, Roma Dunze, Jordan Mason. Josh, we are benching one of these guys. Aaron Jones, almost certainly out this week. We're not benching Roma Dunze. So really, Josh, it's Tedero McMillan, Tyreek Hill, or Jordan Mason. Who are we dropping? Or not dropping, benching.
Yeah, let me look at the matchups this week. My gut says sit Tyreek.
That's kind of where I am, but he looks so good. I mean, Tyreek has Buffalo.
Yeah, and on a Thursday night, no less. Let's see.
Tedero has Atlanta. You're not benching him.
No.
And then Jordan Mason, I liked his matchup. I moved him up in my rankings. Minnesota has Cincinnati. You're not benching Jordan Mason. I think you're right, Josh. I think it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I think it's Tyreek.
But that Minnesota offense does not look good, even with Jordan Mason by himself. Josh, I'm going back on this. I'll bench Jordan Mason. I don't care that it's Cincinnati. That Minnesota offense does not look great, and now you have Carson Wentz.
Well, Cincinnati's run defense has actually looked pretty good, truthfully.
Yeah, I'll start the 3 wide receivers.
Their passing offense, it's kind of but Skeeter, come back tomorrow night on NPI.
We will look for your name, and we will carry
we'll definitely
this
for
over.
your name. We'll carry this over. Let me look a little bit more into the matchups. This is really
we'll have our third co-host tomorrow night too, so.
He'll have our third co-host, and as he likes to say, his start sits are a lot better than ours. So.
Josh, it's Samson or Tutton. Pick one. For me, it's Bhayshul Tuten without a doubt. Yep,
it's Tuten. Not close.
Marcus, drop Fanon for Kraft as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Tucker Kraft is my tight end 3 this week, Josh, and it will probably be top 5 for me for the rest of the
Kraft is the tight end 1 of my heart. So
yeah, exactly.
I've been all in on him this season. So
someone else made this comparison yesterday, Josh. I don't know if it was Jamie. I don't think he was in the chat yesterday. This is the second time in 2 days someone on our show has called Puka Nacua the next Alec Amanior the next Puka Nacua. It might actually been you.
I've been hearing this buzz all off season, quite honestly. Okay. This really isn't anything new, but I just feel like, you get one of these like late round breakouts and everybody's trying to find the next one. This is one of those instances where I think Amanior has that potential, not to the level of Puka. Like I like your comparison here, next, dollar store version, but
yeah.
There's definitely opportunity there. It's lining up 100%.
Skeeter throwing money at us. He gets to go. He also has Ladd McConkey. So
I'm not.
Now it's Tyreek versus Ladd, Josh, for me.
Yeah, I'm starting Ladd over Tyreek.
So Tedero McMillan, Roma Dunze, Ladd McConkey. You're going 3 wide receivers. I would
start. Yeah, I'm not panicking yet on Ladd McConkey. I know everybody else is. There's a lot more going around. And I said this, and I gave Joe a bunch of shit during the season simply because he's such a Ladd lover. And all about it. Like, great. Ladd McConkey is a great player. Who's scoring the touchdowns? It's Quentin Johnston. And we've 100%. Seen that now through 2 weeks. Like, Johnston has 3.
And I said that I know we don't like to just toot our own horns here, but I said, what was changing about Quentin Johnston's role? To me, it was nothing. So chat giving Skeeter love. The chat appreciates when you give us money. We appreciate it because it helps pay for all the shit we do right now. So we very much appreciate it, Skeeter. And you know what? I'm letting you cut the line because you've already gave us some money. Bench Mason or Tyreek. We say bench both. Because I think you can only start three of these guys.
Start Lad, so it's T-Mac, Tyreek, or excuse me, T-Mac, Adunze, and Lad McConkey. Those would be the three that I would roll with,
And then if you had to choose one of these two, Josh says Mason right now, I say Tyreek right now, but we ask you come back tomorrow. We'll let you skip the line again tomorrow. You donated money. We'll remember your name tomorrow night. We go live at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights. Josh Broly says he's sorry to circle back. It's okay, my friend. Is he dropping Pacheco or Bill? He's guessing it's still Pacheco. I don't remember who he was dropping him for. It was somebody good, though.
At this point, you're dropping Pacheco for a bag of Doritos.
Yeah. Ravens kicker or Colts kicker. Everybody seems to love this Tyler Loop. Is one of them indoors? I do have my kicker rankings. Let me grab them just real quick.
Tyler Loop is outdoors this week because he's in Baltimore.
In Baltimore against Detroit. And then
Colts, I think, are on the roll too. Yeah, they're in Tennessee.
Yep. So I'll go Loop.
Loop has done great. At the end of the day, I want the guy on the best offense. So that's Loop.
Yep. I was going to say he's ahead in my rankings right now. We addressed this in the show. If the right player is out there, if Bhayshul Tuten's out there, if Wan'Dale Robinson's out there, it is okay to cut Caleb Johnson. We also expressed be patient with rookies. But right now, Caleb Johnson is a droppable asset. Josh, you got to choose at wide receiver too. This is a Sophie's choice for Josh right now. Cortland Sutton or A.J. Brown, Josh. Obviously, Sutton disappointing in week 2. A.J. Brown disappointing for 2 weeks.
All right. I'm going to answer this 2 ways. Rest of season, it's A.J. Brown. I'm not giving up. I don't think that this, Eagles passing offense is cooked. It's a new offensive coordinator. I addressed this yesterday. It takes time. The players need some familiarity with the play calls, et cetera, et cetera. This week, give me Sutton against the Chargers.
That's exactly how I would play it.
Because the way that the Chargers play defense, I think is going to benefit Sutton and his 50-50 balls. They stick to wide receivers like gloves, and it was very evident against the Raiders this week. They don't offer much in the way of, yak yards. So you need somebody that is a strong contested catch player.
Catch a 50-50.
Sutton is the best contested catch player on the Broncos. And I think he's going to have that flavor of the week for the Broncos this week.
Millie,
Rams just lost to Kello Witherspoon. So there's definitely some opportunity there for A.J. Brown. But Saquon shreds the Rams. And I don't think that's not going to continue this week. So.
Millie, I don't want you to wait around for a non-answer. We did not have an answer on Tyquan Thornton. It's probably a 1-week thing. He did not make the sheet this week.
He's fine until Worthy comes back. I mean, that's literally why he has a role right now.
There you go. Carter Sebring, does he pick up Juwan Jennings, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Scatabo? Josh, I'm ranking these guys. I'll go running back.
Jennings, Scatabo.
I'm going to flip Scatabo and Jennings. I agree Jennings looks good, but I do think Scatabo is worth a roster spot. But it's Wan'Dale first for both of us. I say Scatabo, Josh says Jennings, but I would go we both would go Wan'Dale. Correct. This is such a tough question after 2 weeks. They certainly don't look great. The question for the folks just listening in is the Steelers defense cooked? They don't look great, but you play the matchups on defense. I would have expected more out of them against Seattle, Josh, but I'm not going to never.
So they lost their second best pass rusher, Alex Highsmith, to an injury. Joey Porter Jr. You could make a case he's their best corner. He missed this week. The depth at corner outside of them is 2 30-plus-year-old corners. And again, I love Slay. Jalen Ramsey has, I believe, 2 interceptions in 2 weeks. He's really enjoying playing on that Steelers defense. There's some pieces to like. I think they've just sort of become more of a big play, opportunistic defense, bend, don't break kind of thing versus, stout, smother you, control the game clock kind of defense. That's how I would look at them.
There you go. Last question. It's okay to laugh. I'm going to bust your balls a little bit here. It's okay to laugh. We usually do this on our Saturday shows. It is time to take Emeka Egbuka out of start-sit questions. He is a start every week. It's all in good fun. Stop asking about Emeka Egbuka. So, Josh, start one of Tetairoa McMillan, Jordan Mason, and Javonte Williams.
Oh, man. Who does Dallas play this week? Because my heart says Javonte.
Not your Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, the Bears.
Chicago.
Jesus. Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to ride with Javonte and Egbuka here. I do like the upside of McMillan. He's seeing the target volume and he's getting to it. By all accounts, the Panthers are going to be trailing quite a bit, which means Bryce Young's going to be throwing quite a bit. But I think I'm gonna ride Javonte over T-Mac here.
I am as well. That's exactly where I was going to go with this. Millie wants to know Falcons D or Chargers D. I do have the Falcons as a top 10 defense this week, Josh. Chargers are still outside of that for me. I might need to move them up a little bit. I'm going to put them at about 15 right now. But I'm going to gamble on the Falcons D. That pass rush for the Falcons starting to come alive a little bit. And I think that could work out really, really well against Bryce Young.
Yeah, well, especially down 2 offensive linemen now too. So I think that's really what you got to play into here. I like the Chargers defense. They're really aggressive. Losing Khalil Mack though does not help them at all.
Yeah.
So give me the Falcons D against a battered Panthers offensive line, and quite frankly, not as great as expected Bryce Young.
Carter, the Steelers are my number 9 defense. I'm updating my rankings during this show, so they're showing as higher than that right now. They're my number 9 defense this week. If you don't have one of the other 9, I'm still okay with starting the Steelers against the Rams this week. Or Pats.
Carter, you can check out our rankings, clubfantasyffl.com. You can see all of Ryan's defensive rankings.
There you go. And Jimmy, is Dobbins a league winner long run where you drafted him, or does he sell high? Am I mistaken? I don't think Dobbins looks like a league winner at all. I'm sorry, Jimmy. I don't know what I missed here. I know he looked okay this past week.
Yeah, I mean, I think league winner is a stretch. I mean, to me, I'm looking at league winner as somebody that, is going to ultimately end up propelling.
I mean, back-to-back touchdowns, I guess, puts him there, and the volume's there. So I guess the
volume is definitely there. But again, like RJ Harvey is going to make his presence felt. And Dobbins, to me, really hasn't been anything special. I think injuries have just kind of worn on him. There's definitely opportunity here for Dobbins, but I would not classify him as a league winner. So depending on what you're selling him for, and I hate this generalized term without any, evidence behind it, but depending on what you could get for him, I'm fine selling high.
Yeah, I'll sell Dobbins. And I think, who was it? Index of Sus brings up an interesting. Maybe go to the Harvey owner. See if you can get Harvey plus for Dobbins. You lose in the short term. You probably win in the long run. Josh, we did it. Longest show of the season so far, but we appreciate you guys. We're never going to leave you hanging on a
These
question.
These are always long, but that's fine.
Exactly. I'm just going to let you guys know before we get out of here. We will be live again. And when I say we, I don't mean us. Club Fantasy will be live again with WAF's sideline banner. That is Sam Holt and Derek Tate tonight at 10 p.m. So you do not need to wait until tomorrow at 9 p.m. to get your questions answered. Jump on with Sam and Derek. They'll take good care of you. Josh and I, along with Joe Zolo, will be back again live tomorrow night. That wraps up this Waiver Wire show. Go get those claims in. Good luck, everybody, on your waiver claims. Good luck this week. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 9. But don't miss Sam's show tonight at 10. Have a great week.